Right, I'm back. So yeah, I just had to take care of the cat attempting to disassemble the flat. I guess this will just be a useful point to cut the episode into two halves. And I see that a nice Mr. B0BSIPGI has told me that LWRDNIR, and there's some kind of internet address. Well, thank you. That's a very useful contribution. Thank you. For now, however, let's just keep on coding. We'll deal with Livender Dir later. Boop. Okay, so we were going over all the body parts and checking if they needed to emit particles. So in the end, we want to arrive at this array list of body particle emitters or something, wasn't it? Body part emitter. Which may or may not exist. So we've got the particular appearance of our unit. We now need to ask the animation, well, from which side will you be displaying it? Because you can do like left, right, front, back, right? Then in there, well, we just need to index into it by the body part. Okay, and this theoretically might yield us a list of emitters that this body part has. So if there are some emitters, I believe there is returning flatmate. Hello, I'm doing things with streaming. Right. Well, let's see if we can finish this thing. And that will be a useful victory. Okay, so let's go over this list. Yeah, I'm not sure, I guess these robot spiders really want to be able to emit smoke. And yeah, actually, I guess the other major reason why I really do need smoke emitters is that I want to use, there's this whole discussion in the forums, which is really cool, about making kind of small, single or two-person airships, kind of fighter units, parasite fighters, and the idea is to actually make these a type of crew. So the distinction here is basically everything in this game is either technically an airship or a crew member. Even if they're actually a dragon or something. Airships are everything that is big and can collide with other stuff and so on. And that may be composed out of multiple parts. Crew members is everything that is small and can overlap and might be able to go into other stuff as well. And so the idea is that these little parasite fighters are basically crew members, and of course the parasite fighters will be cold driven, so they need to emit, they also want to be able to emit smoke. I'll probably think of other applications as well, but these are the main ones which are definitely necessary. So okay, So now we've got the actual emitter. Look guys, we've kind of unwrapped all of our data structures and we're at the actual emitter. Now the next question is, dear emitter, do you actually want to emit anything? Actually, it's a good point. Pretty certain that only living, like non-dead things should emit any particles. So like broken down machinery should stop doing that exactly. I mean, I might then have to modify that because maybe they should smoke separately, but like fundamentally I think it's a good starting rule that particle emission is a sign of life. So now let's check if we actually emit a particle. So the way we do that is that we do how does it work? EM dot couldn't dead air cylinders emit fly particles? Yeah, I like that. Given the movement pattern of a fly, it might actually be easier to have all air sailors technically have a fly as one of their body parts. I have to said fly only be visible when they're dead. Okay. Yeah, so that's the right logic. So we basically roll a die from 0 to 1, and if that die is less than the frequency times the number of milliseconds, then we emit a particle. But this in practice means that we will never emit more than one particle a frame, but frankly, if you're emitting one particle a frame, you're emitting 60 particles a second, and then the particle engine will die, so don't do that. MLAM518 says we could have burnt air sailors emitting smoke as well, and blood. Yeah, just like pooling. Yeah, what one belatedly, like there's like code now for like stuff to get stuck to the outside of ships. I kind of, at some point I want to try to put in some code as well that particles can stick to the inside of ships as well, so we can have like blood splatters on the inside of the ships. Slimy suggests that their crew members should emit bones flying out of them, and I'm beginning to doubt he knows anything about human anatomy or physics, but hey, whatever. It could look cool, just bones spraying everywhere. Oh, actually, that reminds me, so on the topic of bones, like a few years ago I had this wonderfully horrible nightmare about skeletons, like animated skeletons. I mean, they're kind of, you know, your kind of staple horror monster or something, and you might think, yeah, whatever, animated skeletons, you know, we've seen it. We were like scared when we saw like that film about like Theseus and the Golden Fleece back when we were like 4, and then, you know, skeletons are kind of normal. But the thing that made these guys creepy was that like they were made out of human skeleton bits, out of human bones, and they clearly wanted to be human shaped, but the bones had been all jumbled up, and so they like just sort of reassembled themselves into human-like shapes, into skeleton-like shapes from random bones. Quite a lot of them actually used the what's it called? You know, the big bone there. The pelvis, as my flatmate has just taught me, used like a pelvis as the head, like they were peering, like as I had these creatures peering at me, using kind of the holes in the pelvis where the bones would slot in as their eyes, so to speak, and like long bones just randomly assembled into, yeah, like you got this feeling like the skeletons wanted to be skeleton shaped, and they just sort of grabbed bones to make a skeleton thing, and it was actually incredibly creepy. So maybe I should put that in. It would be fun. So I'm not quite sure. This resolution probably just looked like, oh god, this is really really bad art. This guy doesn't even he doesn't even know what skulls look like. So yeah. Okay, so back to the code here. We now know we are emitting a particle. Now the next really entertaining, complicated question is, where are we emitting said particle from? So we're going to have to put more stuff into this take function, unfortunately, because now the take function actually also needs to know where the crewman or spider or whatever currently is visually. And once we've got all of this information, we can emit the particle. Now I'm just going to like shortcut this for now and just emit the particle essentially at the origin at the top left, just to see if it works, if everything else works, and then we can get into the fun horror of trigonometry to figure out where it should actually be positioning the particle exactly. That's going to be annoyingly difficult. Okay. I might do a first bad version of that just to kind of show it off, and then I might like, end the stream and spend several hours screaming at myself, figuring out the exact right math, so I don't have to embarrass myself in the stream. Right, so for start, it's really simple. We're just going to say combat.particles.add new particle. It's going to be the emitters particle type, and yeah, we're just going to put it at the XY coordinate. Lovely. Okay, now of course we've made everything go horribly wrong here, because we're now demanding all of these new parameters for tick, which right now it doesn't supply. So this needs fixing. Okay, so some things are easy. The combat is easy. Everything else is going to be hard. Horribly hard. Wow, okay. Tra-la-la. In fact, so hard that we're just going to hive this off. Private void anim tick int mus combat c. Then we're going to do all of this wonderfully complicated calculation. Okay, where did we even get tx and ty from, I wonder? Oh, that's just great. To be passed in. At least then they're relatively simple. He claimed. Oh, that's the So X and Y then are the position of the ship, I think, I hope. We'll see in the end if the smoke comes out of the right place. I think that will do the right thing. Okay. So now hopefully the Mech-Spiders ought to emit smoke, at least when they're facing forwards, which is like the default resting position. Now, just to test this, so we don't have to like guess, I'm just gonna make them emit a ludicrous amount of smoke. There we go. That should just produce a huge plume of smoke, hopefully, if it works. Oops. Yes, yes. Yeah, well, the smoke's coming out. Smoke sure is coming out of their spiders. Can't deny that. Yeah, okay, so fundamentally that works. They're producing like vastly too much of it, of course, and from the wrong place. Not that you can see that very well. You can kind of see like this one, right, is producing this plume of smoke. It should really be coming out of like out of here. So the next thing really is going to be adding in all the offsets, which gets complicated because the animation can like shift and rotate the that particular image, which means I need to shift and rotate the emission point, which means messing around with sines and cosines and cursing. So I think this is a good point to stop. We've streamed exactly 1 hour with a short 3-minute interruption for chasing cats. So yeah, I think this is good. Definitely made some progress here. So you can see there's just lots of details going into these new kind of creatures. A lot of kind of new stuff that has to be added, and kind of all the assumptions have to be broken. But yeah, you'll kind of continue to be able to see them evolving as time goes on. For now, I thank you for watching. I ask you to follow me on Twitch, because then you can more easily see future episodes of this. And I bid you good night.